Boycott, Divestment, and Sanctions, sometimes called BDS. It's the far-left anti-Israel and borderline anti-Semitic campaign designed to hurt the country and people of Israel economically because the activists simply do not support Israel's right to exist. BDS has become prominent among far-left activists the past decade or so, and especially on university campuses, where Muslim student associations often lead the charge on Israeli Apartheid Week with ridiculous stunts like the Apartheid Wall, where students at colleges across the continent, and even at the college I attended, would post anti-Israel comments on a wall in a common area. But what if I told you this movement was now being sanctioned and condoned by our very own Liberal government? Because sadly, that is exactly what has happened, as Canadian food inspectors have ordered a halt in sales of 2 Product of Israel wineries from Judea and Samaria, sometimes referred to as the West Bank. The ruling was done because the label Product of Israel apparently contradicts the Canadian government, who do not consider Judea and Samaria, the Golan Heights, nor East Jerusalem as Israeli territory. This week on Tuesday, the order became public after the Liquor Control Board of Ontario sent a letter to distributors that explained the Canadian Food Agency inspection ruling, reading, quote, that Product of Israel would not be an acceptable country of origin declaration for wine products that have been made from grapes that are grown, fermented, processed, blended, and finished in the West Bank occupied territory. It continues. I request that all vendors discontinue any importations or sales of products labeled as Products of Israel from the wineries named above or others located in the same regions until further notice, unquote. The 2 wineries targeted are just outside of Ramallah and have angered Jewish groups and activists here in Canada. B'nai B'rith Canada stated that they think the decision will be reversed. Quote, we can say now that we are expecting this disturbing decision to be corrected in short order, unquote. Well, let's hope so, because this is the exact kind of divisive far-left activism that really harms Western culture, of which Israel is a part of. But should we really be surprised that after a decade of the Conservative Party rule, who under Prime Minister Stephen Harper positioned Canada as Israel's best friend out of the US, and that was far from being a political move, as it's one that's very popular with Canadians who generally hold very pro-Israel views, outside of our radical left, of course, that now our Liberals are actually less pro-Israel? And while the official people and most MPs in the ranks of the Liberals and NDP support Israel, it is the activist class of each of those 2 political parties that tend to hold very anti-Israel views that again border on anti-Semitism. And here again with this Product of Israel labeling issue, I'll bet the order came from some left-wing bureaucrat who holds personal boycott, divestment, and sanctions beliefs. And I'd love to be joking with you, but how long do you think it will take activists to complain about Made in British Columbia labeling? Because after all, we do know activists consider BC and Vancouver to be unceded land belonging to First Nations. Look, maybe it's the inner contrarian in me, but activism like this makes me actually want to buy products from Judea and Samaria even more. Now, I'm not much of a wine connoisseur, and I'm not sure how Israeli wine stacks up, but you can bet that if I have the chance, I will be buying wine from these now blacklisted wineries, as well as other products from the region. If you recall, earlier this year, I did an interview with a pioneer from Judea and Samaria who is fighting back against this boycott by selling his products directly to supporters in the West from that region. Unfortunately for wine, there are more regulatory hoops to hop through, but I am hopeful that with the reaction and lobbying from groups like B'nai B'rith, we will once again see wines from the Judea and Samaria region of Israel in our liquor stores. For the Rebel.media, I'm Christopher Wilson. Radical far-left activism has no place in this country. And I gotta tell you, about 10 days ago now, we saw some of that radical far-left activism right from our Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau, when he paid convicted terrorist Omar Khadr $10.5 million. Well, we want to fight back. Go to spearkids.com and chip in some money for the victim of Omar Khadr's terrible crime.